And Greg, there were a few more decisions that were due to be heard in court today. What's been decided?
Yeah, you might remember that verdict yesterday. Those two 16-year-olds convicted of the murder of Brianna back in February. They were identified throughout the trial as Girl X and Boy Y because they are juveniles. They couldn't be identified for legal reasons. Well, there was an application today to the judge, Mrs. Justice Yip, that those restrictions should be lifted and that we should be able to identify and give you the names of those two young people, that girl and that boy. The judge has ruled that we will be able to do that at the point at which they're sentenced, and that will take place on February the 2nd. Mrs. Justice Yip saying the murder of Brianna was a shocking event. She was only 16. She was transgender with a significant social media presence, vigils held around the country after her death, and saying that she was murdered in a particularly brutal way. And that the defendants themselves are also only children. The messages between them pointed, she said, to a significant degree of planning. And both of those defendants, as well as being 16 now, have vulnerabilities. And the professionals who work with those two teenagers said that releasing their identities would pose a risk to their mental health. The girl's family, the judge said, has already received death threats. Those looking after the boy, Y, have concerns about his mental health should he become notorious. The judge has said, and also pointing out that both of these defendants in 2025 will turn 18 and therefore can be identified anyway at that point. So she had to weigh up whether it made better sense to identify them now. She reflected the shock that this case has generated, not only in the community but internationally as well, and therefore has made that ruling that we will be able to name them come their sentencing on February the 2nd. She also reflected on those words of Brianna Ghey's mother and father yesterday outside of court, where Brianna Ghey's mother, Esther, called for empathy and compassion for the families of those two defendants. Said that showed remarkable fortitude and humanity, and said that she hoped that would be shown to those families, because she said this trial has demonstrated already that in society those who have dark thoughts and hateful messages can become reality, and we saw what happened when that took place in February and the cost to Brianna. But we will be able to identify those two defendants when they're sentenced in February.
OK, Greg, thank you very much.